Okay, so the Eagles offseason is heating up as the Birds have a massive decision to make regarding this key free agent, who, by the way, just came out and made a statement regarding his free agency and whether or not he wants to remain with the Eagles. Meanwhile, it seems like the Eagles could be eyeing this star linebacker in free agency, so what makes him a perfect fit in Philly? Plus, Lane Johnson said that the 49ers kind of exposed the Eagles, and Fletcher Cox gave us an update on his future and potential retirement while talking about other things as well. So, we're going to talk about all that and more in this video today, and we won't waste any time. Let's get straight into it. Alright, so we've heard a lot of people speak on the Eagles' historic collapse ever since this season came to an end, and there have been a lot of different things said about it and explanations for why it may have happened or what went wrong, but recently, Lane Johnson said something very interesting regarding that, as he kind of gave a unique analysis on the situation, and he may have actually admitted that the 49ers did expose the Eagles.
Explain to me what happened the last, 6-8 weeks of the season.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like as film piles up, and I feel like really after the 49ers game where, it's kind of them dismantling us, I felt like teams kind of piggybacked off that, so I don't know if it was something we were doing with our scheme-wise. Maybe the teams were on to what we were running, but it was a lot more difficult than what it needed to be because you've seen what the offense has been, and then you see that stretch, and it's, what's going on.
Interesting. So he kind of admitted what Eagles fans don't really want to hear. I mean, first off, he did say that there might have been some schematic issues that opposing teams had figured out by the end of the season, which I think we all knew that, but a big reason teams knew what the Eagles wanted to do was because those hated 49ers kind of did expose the Eagles and put out the blueprint on how to beat them, kind of like what Nick Bosa had said, not exactly like that, but pretty close. So, I mean, I can give credit where credit is due. As much as I don't like the 49ers, they destroyed and exposed the Eagles this year, and you gotta respect how good they were just all year, obviously now getting ready to play in the Super Bowl. What I can't respect, however, is how this team, specifically one player on this team, just can't seem to stop trash-talking the Eagles. And of course, I'm talking about Deebo Samuel, who made sure to take a little jab at the Birds when he was asked if he considered them a rival during Super Bowl Media Week, saying, quote, "I consider rivalries close games." So essentially saying, oh, well, we killed the Eagles this year, so it's not a rivalry, but that statement and that thought process is just so crazy coming from Deebo specifically, and not because he's entirely wrong. I mean, when the Eagles destroyed the 49ers in the NFC Championship last year, I don't think any Eagles fans were trying to make it out to be a rivalry, but nevertheless, it kind of became one, not because of the game itself, but because of how the 49ers fans and players, specifically Deebo Samuel, handled it. I mean, this is the same guy who all offseason was making excuses for why the Niners lost that game and saying that the Niners were the way better team, and he also said that he hated the Eagles the most out of any team in the entire NFL. I mean, if you really just take a step back and look at it, Deebo and the Niners are the ones who created this rivalry when it really shouldn't have been one in the first place. Then they did come in this season, and to their credit, they dominated the Eagles, but now Deebo's going to sit up there just days before he plays in the biggest game of his life and take a shot at the Eagles. I mean, to be fair, he was asked about them, but you can't tell me he didn't go out of his way to take a little jab saying, oh, they're not rivals because this past game wasn't even close. I mean, it's just honestly crazy. Even Dallas sports fan, the notorious Philly hater on Twitter, is siding with the Eagles on this one. I mean, that should tell you something, but honestly, like, whatever. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. He can say whatever he wants, and it's cool, I guess. But what's really not cool is the people that are overreacting to this past season and questioning Jalen Hurts as the Eagles franchise QB. I mean, I thought we were done with this conversation, but I guess with the collapse that the Eagles just had, that's left a sour taste in people's mouths about the Birds and Hurts. And of course, when you are the franchise quarterback, you're always going to get a lot of the blame when things go bad. Now that being said, I've talked extensively in the past and in some recent videos about why Jalen, although he isn't fully free of blame, is pretty low on the list of people that I would blame for the Eagles collapse, and I'm not really worried about him at all. And apparently, neither are Fletcher Cox or former Eagle and Super Bowl champion Torrey, as they were on Up and Adams where they defended Hurts from the criticism.
People are starting to make a case for Jalen Hurts being looked at differently than what he was. What would you say to those people?
I think Jalen played good, obviously, I mean, we got to look at, at a couple of things where, Jalen is still a young quarterback. You got to look at those type of things. And, I know a lot of people don't want to hear that, he just got paid like this, that, and the third. But, he's still in the learning phase also, as a quarterback. It's got to be hard. I think it's 3 or 4 times, the pressure that I have on me as a defensive lineman because, I can make a mistake and it won't get noticed until the film turn on Monday, but he can make a mistake and the whole world can see it. But, I mean, you got to, I respect Jalen as a person, as a leader, and, and the biggest thing is, you get the same guy every day.
I'm hearing him talk, and it drives me crazy that we're discussing Jalen Hurts as the quarterback. Jalen Hurts, prior to this season, was in the MVP conversation for 2 years.
100%.
And now we have fans and media folks questioning, is he the guy? So you mean to tell me you can be...
I think the question is more what went wrong, and then you right away that the quarterback...
No, I be getting tweeted. They be killing me on Twitter now.
Okay.
They kill me on Twitter now, I hear it. But I think Jalen is a guy that, again, similar to Brock Purdy, like we talked about, can you win because he's your quarterback?
Yeah.
And the answer is yes. And the Eagles were almost Super Bowl champions last year because Jalen was their quarterback.
You got to look at the guy, though. He's a winner.
Okay, you guys.
I mean, I think they both made great points, especially there at the end. I mean, one, Jalen's a winner. He's put that on display throughout the entirety of his football career, including his NFL career. And also, we've seen that you can win because of Jalen Hurts. We saw it last year almost winning the Super Bowl because of his incredible performance. And also, he just put that on display throughout that entire 2022 season. And then even this year, in the early stages of the season, there are several games that the Eagles won because of Jalen. So it's just crazy to think that there are people criticizing him, especially considering the fact that the entire year, the coaching staff was not putting him in positions to succeed. They were rather asking him to do everything. I mean, we've dove deep into that before in previous videos, but Jalen was really set up for failure by the coaches, not success. So I'm really glad that they've made the changes that they have this offseason. Of course, the main one being hiring offensive coordinator Kellen Moore to replace Brian Johnson, who may have been the main culprit of the whole offensive mess. Speaking of which, BJ is going to be staying in the division next year, as the Washington Commanders have hired him to be their passing game coordinator, which I personally think is hilarious. But hey, I guess we'll see if it works out for them. Meanwhile, the Eagles went out and made a coaching hire of their own in new linebacker coach Bobby King. Now, King has connections to Nick Sirianni, as they spent 3 years together in San Diego, and most recently, King spent a couple seasons as the linebacker coach for the Titans, where he coached Zach Cunningham, so maybe that could mean that the Eagles actually have a real chance of keeping Zach around. But more notably, King also coached Azeez Al-Shaair this past season to a true breakout year, where he finished 6th in the NFL in tackles with 163 on the year. And the great thing is, for the Eagles, Al-Shaair is set to hit free agency this offseason, so you gotta wonder if the Eagles are interested in signing him. I mean, I think that they 100% should be. There is a lot to like about Al-Shaair. He flies around to the football. I mean, he's always around it. He's got an aggressive playing style, and he's still fairly young at 26 years old, and he's just hitting his stride. Plus, he just had his breakout year under the Birds' new linebacker coach. And although he's going to cost probably a decent amount of money in free agency, it's not going to be a crazy number like maybe some other guys would be. I'd guess it's around maybe $6, $7, $8 million per season, which really is not that bad, especially for a team that they're going to have some cap space to work with, and they desperately need a linebacker. I mean, the Eagles need one so bad. If that's not obvious to you after watching this past season, I really don't know what to tell you. Like, the linebacker play this year was, for the most part, pretty awful, especially towards the end of the year, so we definitely need an upgrade in the offseason, and Al-Shaair would surely provide that, and it wouldn't be for an insane price. So, Howie, I know you don't like investing in the linebacker position, but please make this happen as long as it's not for too much. I mean, let's not overthink it. This would be the perfect fit. And also, Howie, if it's possible, can you please find a way to bring back DeAndre Swift? I mean, I know he's a running back, and we don't want to overpay for one of those, obviously, but I really feel like with the way that the market's trending, we might actually be able to afford to bring Swift back. I mean, this is a guy who is a real difference maker on offense this year. There were multiple games where the offense was stalling, and then the Eagles decided to commit to running the ball with Swift, and he turned it around. I mean, without him, the fact of the matter is, the offense would have been a whole lot worse this year. Not to mention the fact that the guy is a Philly native. He just had easily his best season in the NFL, with the Eagles really not fully utilizing him enough or in the right way, and he's still probably got a few really good years left with his age, and with the workload that he's been given in the past. Plus, I still feel like there's some areas of Swift's game that have yet to be unlocked, and he seems to agree with that.
I feel like there's a lot more in my game. A lot more in my game that I can showcase. But I feel like I showed a different element of my game this year, being able to do whatever I'm asked to do. And that was kind of my mindset going into it, not being used so much in the pass game or whatever. Try to affect the game in different ways, in any way I'm asked to do. And I feel like I can do whatever I am asked to do.
I do feel like as good as you were as a runner, you as a receiver out of the backfield was a thing that was probably underutilized in the offense this year. You don't need to throw anybody under the bus, but did you feel like you could have been used a little bit more in that capacity?
Like I said, I'm the type of guy that whatever I'm getting asked to do, I'm going to make that my thing throughout the whole year. Yes, I could have been used a little bit more in the pass game, but I don't call the plays. Right. So whatever I'm asked to do, I'm going to try to master that. Try to affect the game in that way.
I mean, like you said, I really do think that Swift has another level that he can reach, and I'd love for him to reach it in Philly. I don't want this guy going anywhere, and he apparently wouldn't mind sticking around either.
I guess the last thing is, like, you think we're going to be seeing you in an Eagles uniform next season? Put you on the spot.
Only time would tell. I would love to be an Eagle again. I would love to.
he said it there. I mean, he'd love to be back, but at the end of the day, it's a waiting game. Howie has to give him a decent offer, plain and simple. Now, if the price ends up being too steep, then I don't think he should do it, but if it's something reasonable, like maybe around, say, $6 million per season, like around there, I think I'd do it. So maybe that's just me, but what do you guys think? Now, as we speculate on the future of DeAndre Swift and whether or not that's going to be in Philly, someone else's future that we're also speculating on is Fletcher Cox, because we don't know if he's going to decide to return for another year or if he's going to decide to retire. And unlike Jason Kelce, we really haven't heard too much on Fletcher's thought process when it comes to potentially retiring, but in his recent appearance on Up and Adams, he was asked about it, and this is what he said.
The future of the Fletcher Cox with the Eagles is?
Day by day. We're going to take it day by day.
Show us those
So the future with me is, just day by day. Nothing I've thought about, but, just taking it day by day and see where I am.
You're out there hunting, setting traps. You're not thinking about your future with the Eagles?
Well, let's not call it hunting. We harvest animals. So that's a better term, harvest.
Okay, animal harvesting.
Yeah, we harvest animals. So if you say hunting, killing.
We eat them.
He'll tell you. What's his future with the Eagles?
Right.
Man, as long as it doesn't cost too much, I love to bring Fletch back. He's a leader, he's still producing, and he's a Philly legend, so I feel like I'd be wrong to not want him back for another year, again, assuming the price isn't outrageous. Now, if you remember back to the exit press conferences, Jordan Davis was really talking like Fletch wasn't going to be back, but weeks later, we still haven't gotten a formal word on it, so who knows, I guess. But you guys can let me know down in the comments if you would want Fletch back, or just give me your thoughts on anything else that I talked about in this video. And also, if you did enjoy this video and you don't want to miss any other Eagles coverage coming throughout this entire offseason, make sure you subscribe and also, really importantly, turn on notifications. Also, drop a like down below on this video if you did enjoy it and want to show some support. And if you want to watch another Eagles video, you can go check this out right here. Now, with all that being said, that's pretty much all I got for this one, guys. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.